Canada loses 106 jobs in just 2 months in July and August. This is something that I wanted to take a moment away from the technology side of AI and sort of exploring that for business owners and organizations and just touch on our economy and the current circumstances for people looking for jobs, circumstances for uh, business owners, organizations, even government, what they're looking at in terms of the labor landscape, as well as the implications of all of these things in terms of AI adoption and real estate. If you're just tuning in or you haven't seen my face before, my name is Alex. I run an AI agency in Toronto called Peak Demand. We help everyone from the solo professional, small business, medium sized business, enterprise, up to transit system, municipal government with their AI operations. And I can tell you right now, this subject hits pretty close to home for me personally. I remember growing up in Canada, trying to get jobs, and maybe it's just my personality or what I look like. For me, my career journey was particularly difficult. Fired numerous times, usually for not getting along with management and leadership in companies. I've got a pretty hard head, and I have a way that I do things that generate results. And it's allowed me to pretty much survive on my own for quite some time. Build a business where I'm now able to hire people to do work. So, my journey over the last 15, 20 years and being able to do that was extremely hard. And so when I see there was 106,000 jobs lost in 2 months, young people having a lot of difficulty finding work, that was me 15, 20 years ago. I'm just I want to say lucky, but I put in quite probably 100,000 hours or more on the computer, learning digital skills. Now with AI, I'm now able to train others, build a company. So I would consider myself blessed to have the strength to do that. I wouldn't even say smart enough to do that. You don't have to be smart to be a business owner. You just have to have the will and the perseverance to do that. But now looking at Canadians, used to um, having a steady salary, steady income, we are careening off a cliff in terms of our job landscape. And I really do believe a lot more Canadians are going to be turning towards entrepreneurship, the gig economy, because the typical way that we've been doing things for the last 20, 30 years, it's just not going to work anymore. That's just my opinion. Obviously, things could wildly change over the next few years, but as it stands now, our my parents, they experienced the heyday of growing up in Canada. They're immigrants from Jamaica, from England. They came here, were literally thrown jobs for whatever people could lift their hands for and learn at that time. And so I think, interestingly, I had a conversation with my father, and I asked him, how many times did you have to drop a resume off to get a job when you were growing up? He's 85. His response was, "What resume?" So, older generations, they definitely lived in a different time. And I think it's very important for older generations to see that in this regard, in terms of the job landscape, opportunities to grow, buy a home. You guys were extremely fortunate to be in circumstances that had that. Younger generations will 100% be experiencing a profound level of difficulty when it comes to getting a job, capturing income, building their wealth towards a future where they have a chance at having a family. Like, what I'm describing is going to be impossible for a large swath of young people. But it's really a very tough time for young people to be trying to get a job, but especially, like, I would even say, the older generations, boomers, are probably looking at their kids going, "Holy shit! We didn't have to go through all of this when we were growing up. It was relatively easy. I'm seeing some boomers are getting, 600%, 1,000% returns on their home investments over the course of their lifetimes. Meanwhile, people in my age group that bought in 2020, 2021, 2022 are looking at catastrophic losses on their investments. So it's a different time, um, especially in Canada. I really do believe we are past the heyday of, a growing economy and opportunities for young people. I really do believe we're going to be moving into a time when you really do need to have a specialized skill in a niche that people desire your expertise for in order to survive. So we're sort of regressing back into, you need to be highly skilled and highly sought after if you just want to pay the bills. God knows what's going to happen to unskilled labor over the next few years. Like if you don't have if you can't pinpoint a specific skill that you have that other people seldom have, I would very much advise learning something that not very many people can do, and that is sought after by businesses. Like you want to be able to serve businesses if you want to survive in Canada, because most people, they generally just don't have money, not even to pay bills. So I'm going to go through the piece that we put together. Again, this one hit close to home for me because I had a markedly difficult time, growing into my career. I had to quite literally build my own career, my own business, skill set, operation infrastructure for myself, and then I was able to share that with others who, met the criteria for who I wanted to work with, and have them trained. So I'm really proud of that. But let's get into it, guys. So 106,000 jobs gone in 60 days inside Canada's labor shock, AI adoption, and the real estate collapse. We'll touch on AI adoption and real estate collapse a little bit, just because I really do feel like they're tied into the conversation, but generally we're going to be talking about jobs. In July and August of 2025, Canada lost roughly 106,300 jobs. To put that in perspective, that's a 0.5%. So 1%, if you're looking at 1% of all the employed workforce in Canada, half of them lost their jobs in 60 days. A huge, the language here is peacetime shock that demands national action. So peacetime is basically a time when no war is happening, or, you know, COVID, pandemic, nothing like that. It's just regular, everyday business as usual. To see a loss like that during the summertime, you'd think seasonality, people losing their jobs, but generally, for that's going to be for young people. Young people are facing insane numbers of unemployment right now. Like, I know when I was growing up, it wasn't that bad. You could apply to, like, in my experience, it took maybe like 300, 400, 500 applications. You would get maybe 15 to 30 interviews, and of those 30 interviews, you would get a job offer. And so you'd be able to get that. That's how I got most of the jobs or sales roles I had. And I'm a sales guy at heart, so I knew, playing the numbers at that time, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, that would have been, something that would get you a job. But now I'm hearing stories of young people applying like 500, 1,000, 2,000 times and getting no interviews, no callbacks, no acknowledgement at all. And to me, that is that screaming issue with our economy. Like, young people shouldn't be blamed for applying 1,000 times and not getting a job. That effort in and of itself is worth hiring, because that person is willing to go well beyond what's required to get the job done or get a job, period. There's probably hundreds of thousands of young people that deserve to work just based on how hard they are working to get a job. So really feel for you guys. And this is not ordinary monthly churn. 2 consecutive months showed the largest net declines. Losses were broad across services and high exposure industries, and youth and part-time employment fell particularly hard. All signs this is more than seasonal volatility. Canada job losses, July, August 2025, quick snapshot. So in July 2025, we lost around 41,000 jobs. And if you guys want to check all the sources, they're at the bottom of this article. Like, we don't put together any articles or claims that aren't thoroughly researched. Thanks AI for deep research capabilities. But August 2025, 66,000 jobs lost. A monthly total is about 106,000. So what it means for Canada's workforce, our labor force is about 22.5 million. Unemployed is 1.6 million. So that amounts to about a 0.5% loss of jobs for all employed Canadians in just 2 months. That's that's huge. Like, I'm a business owner. I'm a relatively young business owner. I'm 37. I've had my own business, probably approaching a decade now, but really, like, it didn't really take off until maybe a few years ago when, business owners saw the big gap or big need for technology in their operation. I started to get work in the last couple of years, really been doing well. I think the last year, probably one of the best years, and it's continuing to get better. Just because more businesses are recognizing the need for technology, AI, and so forth. But I can tell you right now, uh, as a business owner, seeing and not having to worry about a job, seeing this much worry is like crazy to me. Like, this is, I, if you were to show me these numbers like during COVID or during war, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But this is just you know, again, peacetime job losses in an economy, and even the Americans. I see YouTube videos going up, articles being written, news anchors talking about Canada just collapsing, and I really do feel like we're sort of in a runaway train here, where it's an irreversible momentum. Unless we do something extremely drastic, we are approaching a new economy in Canada. This is something that we have not seen before. So of course there's going to be, you know, a margin of error with all the numbers I'm giving you. I make a note of that here. But just to highlight or compare quickly unemployment rates from Canada versus U.S. and China, Canada's unemployment rate. This is honestly, like, I'm taken aback by these numbers. 7.1% jobless rate rose after the sharp unemployment declines in July and August. In the United States, it's around 4.3, material lower than Canada same month. China, I mean, the data available on China, China is known for, not having the most accurate and up to date data on their unemployment. I think there's some rumors or speculation that their youth unemployment rate is in the 20, 30, 40%, just because of all the bad stuff's going on there. But publicly, they're saying that their unemployment rate's about 5% across the board. But what these numbers tell you is that these rates are a fast way to compare labor market across countries. Canada is roughly 7.1 in August. It's clearly above the U.S. Rate for the same month and above China's official urban rate, quote unquote official, a signal that Canada's labor market is under material strain this summer. Um, Again, we have to, point out labor force participation. If fewer people are actively looking for work, the unemployment rate can understate distress. Like, there might be more people that are unemployed but aren't looking for work because A, they've just given up on the job search. B, they're just unable to work because of whatever reason, personal, maybe it's a physical reason. But generally, these numbers are undershooting what the actual unemployment rates are. In general, at least that's what my experience has been. Except, I would say, if we really want to take a look at where, like, this is a huge problem, guys. Youth and part-time unemployment. Youth unemployment is, the more that I understand it and the more that I look at my own life, the more that I realize youth employment rates are extremely important. If your country's youth has a high youth unemployment rate, you're basically telling your young people there's no jobs for you, there's no income, there's no money for you. Good luck, with all the dreams and aspirations that are bubbling up in your brain right now. A lot of youth today, at least from my understanding, I'm looking online videos and even the few interactions I have with them, maybe at the gym, I even have young people coming to me asking me for help. I'm like, I've never been, never been in this position where young people are really just in this much need and looking at me for guidance. So, and I'm used to a life where, I'm looking for guidance, looking for help from mentors, peers, really absent across the board. Did not have any of those types of people growing up. A lot of my survival and success was just self-generated. It's not, I didn't have someone saying, "Hey Alex, good job, keep going." It was more like, "Alex, you better keep going. You're gonna fail." But to see youth unemployment rates this high, it's I really do fear for this country. Long-term unemployment duration, rising. Long-term unemployment, people are unemployed 6, 9, 12 months. I have some people who tell me they have grown men with like real skills to do work, unemployed year, 1.5 years. I mean, Jesus Christ, especially in construction. Cross-country survey difference. China's urban survey covers a different population, uses different methods. Canada and U.S. surveys, the Canada uses surveys. Excuse me. So international comparisons should be treated as directional rather than exact. Of course, we don't want to make exact comparisons. If we were to probably get exact numbers for China, I would say that would crush our unemployment rates, because I think China really masks how bad it is out there. Like I see videos on YouTube of just millennials flooding the streets as like homeless. I'm a millennial. Looking at that, I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, it's great that you started your own business, 10 years ago." Bottom line is Canada's 7.1% jobless rate in August is a clear sign of labor market stress relative to peers, but policymakers and analysts must look beyond the single number: participation, youth part-time losses, unemployment during the duration to tell the fuller story. I mean, we can go back and forth on what numbers and stats are saying all the time. I'm literally just highlighting the fact in this video, like we lost 0.5% of all employed people in 2 months. That's the bottom line. So if you're a policymaker and you see my face, if you're a policymaker, you probably hate me at this point, just showing how bad things are and showing you what the right way is, investment in AI. But um, if you're a young person and you see this, like I really do encourage you to get into digital. That is by far going. It's the future for business operations. Is in the world of digital. So, and you can see businesses now, they're flooding Indeed with like social media marketing and all sorts of stuff. They're like, it's a delay, it's a lag effect. Like businesses now are only going for social media marketers when that was what you needed maybe 15, 20 years ago. You know, basic social media engagement. That's a small fraction of what you need in sort of a digital operation for any business, but that's what they're thinking now. As a Canadian businesses are looking for social media managers, you need to be looking for AI integrations and AI workflow operators. Like that's what you should be doing now, but that's probably going to take another 10, 15 years for Canadians to realize, if we get that far. But just in terms of a historical comparison on how those jobs lost in the last 2 months compare to other times when we lost a lot of jobs, quick comparison is July, August. So let's use the benchmark: 106,000 jobs lost. In the Great Recession, 2008 to mid 2009, 400,000 jobs were lost. So, and that was over months. That was like over many months. So maybe like 7, 8, 9 months, 400,000 jobs lost. That's not as much as how much we just lost in the last 2 months on average per month. COVID collapse, a little bit different. Like we're talking about complete and utter, operational collapse for businesses. Um, in April 2020 alone, there was 2 million jobs lost across U.S. and Canada. In March and April, uh, after or from March into April, it was about 3 million jobs. U.S. in April of 2020. Oh, that's literally just for Canada. In April of 2020, 20 million 500 non-farm payroll jobs, the single largest month drop on record. So that was like the first, COVID's here. Everyone, you're out of work. So you can see it really takes a COVID level event to get to the crazy numbers. But if you want to talk about just like recession, borderline depression numbers, like this is pretty high, 100,000 in 2 months. What those comparisons tell us, COVID era losses were still 28 times larger, 200 times larger um, than what we just experienced in the last 2 months. But at 50,000 jobs lost per month in the last 2 months, that's more than the Great Recession. So we got to really think about what's going on here. Are we in a slow, silent, extremely painful recession that we don't know when's going to stop, or is this is a blip on the road? I really do believe it's the former. I believe our economy is transforming before our eyes, and we do not want to admit it as Canadians, especially in real estate. Like usually in marketplaces, prices go up, prices go down, stock market, wheat, anything that has an auction type environment where you're bidding on things, and including housing. Like our real estate market went only up for decades, and we never really saw what a correction looks like and sort of recalibrating prices with our economy. That's happening all at once right now, and it is devastating Canadians. So, if you're a baby boomer, like odds are you really don't even care about a lot of this stuff unless you have kids who are having problems. But if you're a baby boomer, you experienced some of the most profound gains in wealth and value in human history, which will probably not be achieved again by your children. And you're looking at your retirement, the last place to lay your head, stuff like that. I know my father; he's 85. Really, all he cares about is his lawn and his daily exercise. He's not worried about real estate markets or the economy or anything like that. He just wants to make sure that he's well taken care of. His kids are off and working. I have a business, so he thinks we're fine. Really, I don't even think boomers are paying much attention to this stuff, even though they're largely the biggest well, not, I wouldn't blame them. They wouldn't really know what was going on at the time. They were just seeing the rate. They're just seeing their house prices go up and going, "Yay, we're making money just by standing here." But there is consequences to that, and it's the knock-on effect for further generations. So sector job losses in Canada, the demographic breakdown, where their losses are landing the most. In short summary, in July and August 2025, losses were broad but uneven, concentrated in vulnerable services, early career roles, regions tied to trade and construction. July's weakness hit different pockets than August's, which was deeper and more widespread. Together, they show both industry concentration and a large distributional hit to youth and part-time workers. So, youth and part-time workers, like I'm really waiting for a time in Canada when people, or at least the government, cares about young people. Like it really, I honestly, I don't remember a time, even growing up, everyone's like, yeah, vote liberal, vote conservatives, and never ever, like maybe actually Harper back in the day. Uh, but I remember it's just like it's always looking after the seniors, always making sure pensions are good, health care. We got to make sure, the end of life scenario for our boomers is always perfect. But we never go to say to young people, hey, let's do something for you guys. I haven't experienced or seen that at all in my life. And now I'm a grown man, looking at young people still get the short end of the stick, still looking at the same baby boomers getting all the perks, and I'm just like, this doesn't work. This is not sustainable. At some point in time, you really have to pass the bucks. Literally, the money has to go to young people, or there's no future in this country. So, if you're a policymaker and you're listening, who am I? I'm just a technologist. But really, investing in young people, like I didn't get that investment, but I really do feel if I had, my life would have been different. Maybe I would have been doing something different. Um, but if you're a young person and you're looking at the next 10, 15 years of your life, you're looking at a guy right now who bootstrapped the whole thing, so you can do it. You got to make a lot of sacrifices, I'll tell you that. No one's out here to help you. No one is coming to help you. No one's coming to save you. If you intend to be able to survive on your own, you have to live uncomfortably for quite some time until you get to that point where it's like, okay, things are moving and operating on their own. I don't have to, I can manage people doing stuff. I can make money passively. Like that's really where you want to get to. But just to give you a snapshot of the where the job losses are landing the most, Professional, scientific, and technical services slipped notably in August as project work and contract hiring cooled, signaling pain in white collar job based work where firms often pause hires first. And this is going to get worse and worse because more projects, more organizations are going to be engaging with AI tools or AI teams to carry out a lot of this work. Like if you're a consultant and you're looking at the future landscape of your industry, unless you are adopting AI at warp speed, you're probably just going to get replaced by AI. So we're noticing increasingly that AI is the pathway to safety for those who need skills. You want to pick up some AI skills, great, you'll get a job. Probably at an agency. Hell, if you have good enough AI skills and you can put together workflow automations and navigate, the prompting black box, you might have a job at peak demand. But it's really, all these more, lofty and sophisticated roles by people who thought they were irreplaceable, they're getting replaced by AI. Um, Transportation and warehousing, while July actually showed an uptick, August losses were sharp in transport related roles as freight, logistics, and warehousing employers paired hours and staff during the slowdown. So, economic slowdown, all the logistics people that are connecting industries, they're going to have a slowdown too. Manufacturing, oh, I pray to Jesus that we maintain our manufacturing sector, especially going into this uncertain time globally. Like steel, if you're a steel manufacturer, God bless you, stay in Canada, please. We need you. They're exposed to trade tariff uncertainty and weaker external demand. Manufacturers saw larger job pulls in August compared with July, a sign that trade policy is translating quickly into domestic hiring cuts. Information, culture, and recreation, business support, and construction were the last group. So July's losses highlight a fragile seasonal and consumer exposed industries. August broadened the hit into professional services, transport, manufacturing. The combined effect is both depth, many jobs lost quickly, and breadth across skills and sectors. So it's just a across the board bloodbath with jobs. It's a clear contraction of our economy. And youth and young people, students, they're paying the biggest price. We had a 17.5% unemployment rate for youth. Um, that is frightening to know that our young people are literally being rug pulled on their futures in this country. And I think I read somewhere that Canada's experiencing some of the most uh, young people leaving their country, like in Ontario, especially young people who would essentially be building the future infrastructure of this country are leaving to go somewhere else. So what does that say about the future of older generations that need us to look after them? That sucks. What does that say about our just small business opportunities in Canada for young people starting businesses? Even worse. So we really got to figure this out. And as an AI agency, like I always say, be more efficient, optimize, save money, hire. Be more efficient, optimize, save money, hire. So I'm trying to make sure that the clients we work with, the businesses we work with, they do reach that operational efficiency where they're like, hey, we're making money because of our AI operations, or we're saving money. Let's hire someone to do more work and make more and grow. That's pretty much how our philosophy works. Uh, let's go a little bit quicker because there is quite a bit here. If you want to go through the full article, no problem. It's on peakdemand.ca. You'll probably see it on our homepage. But this is a monster that we put together. We did a lot of research. Real estate job loss in Canada 2025. The role of housing and construction. The housing market slowdown has frozen house sales. That says cooling home sales. It literally froze them, and that has a knock-on effect for the industries involved in the housing market. So like contractors, HVAC people, developers, like they all feel the crunch when the housing market has a downturn. And this downturn that we're experiencing now, I'm looking at this and literally in my entire life up until the last few years, I was urged to buy a home, buy real estate, buy a home, buy real estate. The only purchase you ever need. Invest in your home, invest in your future, da da da. And now to watch the collapse of that market, it's like even though everyone is so confident and almost and some people like 100% real estate does not go down in Canada, your safe bet. Clearly, it's not the case. We're real estate's getting rug pulled in Canada because of how melted up our prices have become. So it's, if you're a young person in Canada, you're like, well, am I saving up to buy a home? Well, not really, because the value is going to go down. Do I want to stay in Canada because housing prices are going down and really no one wants to move here? Maybe I should just leave. It's really a hard pill to swallow, or at least the truth is, not something everyone wants to hear. So a little bit on real estate there. Why this happened? Proximate causes: demand, trade, hiring freeze, automation. So obviously demand for homes has cooled quite a bit. Tariffs and trade taxes. Um, Again, whenever I see seasonal student and youth shifts, it's like entry level disruption. This is happening. Like entry level roles in jobs are disappearing. Either someone's taking it on that shouldn't be, and they're a higher level, operator in the business, or the business is literally just saying, "Can we automate this?" So automation is going to affect the job market for young people. I would say if you're a young person, don't try to be an office administrator. Don't try to be a receptionist. Like these mundane roles that technology is increasingly be able to do better than you, it's learn how to build the systems or connect the systems that would be replacing these roles, because businesses are going to have to fundamentally change at an operational level in order to survive the next wave of competition. You want to be a part of that change. You don't want to try and, no one wants to grow up and get up and be a receptionist. Like that's not, I used to be a receptionist for environmental services or the waste department at a hospital. It's not a very nice job. No one cares about what you do as long as you're doing your job correctly. If you're not doing it correctly, you're fired and replaced by someone else. But now machines can do these jobs far easier, far more effectively, and cheaper. So you want to find a job where you have a specialized skill. It's hard to replace and it's easily transitional, or you can easily transition from one company to the next because you have such a specialized skill. Or just get into sales. Sales, if you're a sales guy, you're probably always going to have a job, even with all the new AI sales operations coming out. Salespeople are still needed. Firms are opting for more AI and automation when under cost pressure. Like literally, it's getting too expensive to hire someone, benefits full time. People are just going for AI solutions. And I'm not saying are actively out here replacing people or taking jobs away from people. Like for me, I'm able to create jobs on my end because of AI. So I feel like, hey, you're contributing with your own personal business, your own operation. Great. But also our customers and clients, they see an uplift in their operations. They're able to hire more specialized skills or more revenue generating roles. So I do believe AI is the answer in a lot of different sectors and different avenues of business. Let me see here. I won't go too much into it, but yeah, I wanted to pin or hone in on this. Entry level jobs are becoming a thing of the past. It's really going to be you get enough skills, you do a lot of the grinding to get to the point where you're UAT, or you're accepted by the boss essentially by for someone to pay you to do good work, and then you, in tandem with AI tools, produce really good results. So if you're a young person, like get into AI, get into technology. Like even people are saying like coders are going to be way of the past. I've learned more coding in the last 2 years than I have in my entire life. Coding is going to be extremely valuable. If you can read code and if you can understand APIs, you're probably going to have an easier time than most. Um, and we have some scenarios and projections that do nothing versus moderate action versus aggressive action. Like the do nothing scenario is we are going to continue failing. We are going to continue careening off a cliff in terms of our productivity and our economy. We're going to experience more job losses. um, if we try and mitigate some of this stuff, like even with just using AI, we'll probably see some job creation, but really it's going to take an aggressive, rapid action approach to minimize job losses and spur on job creation over the next few years. I would even say this is going to be a multi-decade experience for Canadians. Um, I'm 37 now. I probably in my lifetime I probably won't see another positive environment in Canada until I'm in my 50s and 60s. That's just reality. accepting reality is better than trying to tell a lie or hide the truth. So I'm trying to prepare and build for that, or at least establish a business that I can look at and say, hey, 20 years ago we started this. That's why I'm able to have a decent life. The people I work with, my family, are able to have a decent life. So you really sort of have to think in the long term. Is what you're doing now contributing towards a sustainable lifestyle in the future? Or are you going to be part of the large group of people who are going to have to go through that more tumultuous transformation when our economy starts to evolve, because it is evolving. It's going to have growing pains. We're going to have to go down before we go back up. So yeah, we really want to promote investing in education, especially technology, skills development. This will generally stimulate job growth. Um, and again, with man, mortgages, we got trillions of dollars in outstanding mortgages. Seem to be where all of our liquidity in this country is locked up in. And I can tell you right now, unless this changes, it might actually, like, I also see another path where a lot of young people, they opt not to get into the housing market, and they take their money and leave, or they try and start a business. But I really do believe the housing market is going to transform. The way that young people look at the housing market as an investment vehicle, one is like plummeting. But the cost of renting is cheaper than the cost of owning a home, even when you factor in the value you would have in your home after the course of a 25-year mortgage versus just investing your savings into the stock market. Like, I'm watching videos of real estate agents on YouTube, real estate agents and mortgage brokers telling Canadians that it doesn't make economic sense to buy a home anymore in Canada. Now, if the people within the industry are saying this, God bless them, they're telling the truth. Well, you think they might be telling the truth because it's counterproductive or intuitive to what you think they might say. If real estate agents telling you, "Hey, we're bottoming, markets are bottoming out, we're on our way back up," that guy might be a little bit harder to listen to than the real estate agent saying, "Buying a house right now is not a good idea." So Um, I really do believe our economy is going to have to transform a lot away from housing, because we can't sort of, have a limping economy on one particular sector forever. You're gonna have to change at least at some point. But the it's young people, man. Young people are really going to have to make some tough decisions on what they consider to be the safest path to, and I'm not even talking about a good life at this point. I'm just talking about straight up survival. I know what survival mode looks like. It sucks. But I do believe that once you come out the other side of it, you're a lot stronger. Your wherewithal, discipline, the ability to produce results is a lot higher. But I do also feel like our markets and our sentiment in this country, it's a little bit softer, it's a little bit more reserved. It's not preparing young people for what that landscape of survival looks like. What else can I touch on here? So our point of view at the agency is, if you're a business and you're seeing slowdown, you're seeing increased costs, or you want to try and find some efficiency, trying to find some way to generate revenue, partner with an AI agency, be it for generating more leads, more business. AI can help with that. Making sure your operations are more efficient, you're not missing, opportunities at your business using AI, great. We're not intending to replace people. Usually we get business owners in here that say something like, yeah, our receptionist quit, or, we're missing a lot of business after hours when no one's here. It's not like, oh, we don't like Bob who's doing reception, let's just get a robot to replace him. That never happens. It's usually businesses who have need and pain at that time, where they need a solution that works and it's cost effective, and I think they can plug in without, transforming their whole operation. It's just really just patching in a workflow. So our philosophy is, hey, you guys need more AI operations, great. We're able to hire more people, our clients are able to hire more specialists for their jobs roles. Say like a med spa, you get more med spa technicians, women who know how to handle Botox. They're getting more business because they got an AI voice receptionist answering all the calls. Same thing for a plumber, HVAC technician. Those are very like small examples, but I really do believe we're going to see a new world where there's a lot more, well, not a lot more. There's going to be technologists who are able to weather the storm and get jobs and be able to provide very useful services to businesses. And then those businesses who do come ahead will be able to hire more people that their specialized niche or sector requires. So the core idea is agency hires more people, more ops roles, so AI agencies grow, but as well the clients that are successful with them are able to grow as well. And this is a very small example of a solution. This is just from my world of an agency, and comparing that or looking at the world around me and saying, how can I contribute, how can I help. If you are a young person and you want to start your journey, to go to Peak Demand, read some of the language, ask ChatGPT about Peak Demand Canada and our position on the marketplace, and learn about the company through ChatGPT. Like we often get businesses finding us because they've had a conversation with ChatGPT asking for help about AI operations, and then ChatGPT will recommend Peak Demand, which is great. I love to see that. Want to see more of it. But if you're a young person, you want to learn about what we do, and see if there's a roadmap towards working with us. 100% have that conversation with the AI, and it'll talk all about us. And that's pretty much it. I'll leave it there. We can go into the types of roles and AI operators and how to pretty much combat the oncoming economy in Canada. Our big question is, are we ready for AI yet? Is this the moment where Canadians are like, guys, what we're doing doesn't work. We are not productive enough. Our young people have no money and are leaving our country. What can we do, as an older generation decision maker, policy maker, whoever's got the strings to pull, or whoever's got the buttons to push, because it is that break the emergency glass moment. We got to do something. 100,000 jobs in 2 months. That's in the in stock market or a crypto market. That would be a strong indicator that we are headed for more pain, so to speak. So if you have any questions, feel free to call Sasha, ask her anything you want. Our team will be able to see that. You want to have a more serious conversation about AI operations in your business, schedule a discovery call with us. If you want to see any of the sources we use to put together this piece, feel free. But I'm looking forward to doing more of these types of articles. I don't like talking about I don't really like talking about what's the bad stuff that's going on in this country. I believe I am an optimist, even though I could be pretty venomous at times. Some of my coworkers will let you know, but I do feel like we have to get a taste or understand what really is going on, the reality of our situation, in order to make those conscious and deliberate decisions to come out of it. That was me when I was in a rough place some time ago, and it does require sacrifice. Like the things that you think you deserve and enjoy, maybe you don't. Maybe you have to take a loss here and there, or not be so comfortable all the time in order to just survive. I can tell you, animals are not worried about comfort. They're worried about survival at all times. Comfort is not a priority. So I do believe we're going into a moment of uncomfortability, but I also believe that when we come out of it, we're going to be a lot more conscious and better off for it. Just keep your head up if you're in a tough position, and look to gather skills that you believe will have value in the future. It doesn't have to necessarily be now. Like when I was getting into digital, I thought no matter what, this skill is going to be valuable. It has to be. Our world is becoming more more digital every day. Lo and behold, great, I was able to make it through. But if you're at that crossroads and you're out of a job, get into the digital space 100%. And of course, if you really need someone to talk to, you can send us an email, see if we what we can do for you. But yeah, I'm gonna try and make more videos like this. If you found this informative or you just like the conversation, like and subscribe. It's not the technical, AI robot integration API stuff that we usually get into, but I really do feel like touching on this subject every now and then is important. Just because it keeps a sharp head on a swivel. That's the type of sentiment I really like. All my guys, all times, head on a swivel. Never get comfortable with where you're at, ever, because your rug could be pulled at any moment. So we're always building and putting stuff away for a rainy day to make sure that we can have the runway to continue doing what we're doing. So again, if you like this video, like and subscribe. I'm looking forward to the next one. Bye now.